Today, people check in to luxury hotels with a few taps on their phones. In 1900 America, one teenage girl walked into a hotel for a very different reason, not as a guest, but as a worker who cleaned the rooms. Few people noticed her then, but years later, her name would be known as the owner of one of the most respected hotels in her region. In the year 1900, in the growing railroad town Cheyenne, Wyoming, 16-year-old Clara Mitchell pushed open the heavy wooden door of the Prairie Star Hotel just before sunrise. The air inside smelled of polished wood, coal smoke, and fresh coffee brewing in the kitchen. Clara was not there to rest. She worked as a room girl, one of the lowest-paid jobs in a hotel. Her duties began before most guests were even awake. She swept the hallways, changed bed linens, emptied wash basins, and scrubbed floors until her hands were raw from soap and hot water. The work was exhausting, but Clara never complained. Clara's family had moved west a few years earlier, like many Americans during the late 19th century. The expansion of railroads had turned small frontier towns into busy trade centers. Cheyenne was one of those towns. Trains passed through daily carrying travelers, merchants, ranchers, and workers moving across the country. Hotels near the railroad stations were always busy. But Clara's family struggled. Her father had once worked as a ranch hand, but illness had weakened him. Her mother took in laundry from neighbors to earn a little money. With 3 younger brothers at home, Clara knew she had to help support the family. So at 16, she began working at the Prairie Star Hotel. Life in American hotels in 1900 was very different from today. Guests traveled by train or horse carriage, and many stayed for days or even weeks. There were no elevators in most small hotels, which meant workers like Clara carried heavy buckets of water and stacks of linens up narrow staircases all day long. Despite the hard labor, Clara paid close attention to everything happening around her. She watched how the front desk clerk greeted travelers. She noticed how the hotel manager handled complaints and arranged rooms. She listened to businessmen talking about railroad deals and cattle prices while they ate dinner in the dining room. Most workers simply did their tasks and went home, but Clara was curious about how the entire hotel worked. The hotel owner, Mr. Benjamin Carter, eventually noticed the quiet but hard-working girl. One evening in 1902, he saw Clara helping an elderly traveler carry luggage up the stairs, even though it was not part of her job. "You work harder than anyone here," he told her. Clara simply smiled and continued her work. But from that day on, Mr. Carter occasionally allowed her to help with small tasks at the front desk when the hotel was busy. Clara learned how to register guests, assign rooms, and keep track of payments in the large ledger books that hotels used at the time. For Clara, this was the beginning of a new education. America, at the start of the 20th century, was a nation full of opportunity, but also enormous challenges. Women had limited career options. Most worked as teachers, seamstresses, or domestic servants. Owning a business was rare for women. But Clara had a quiet determination. By 1905, she had saved enough money to attend evening business classes offered in the town. She studied bookkeeping, hospitality management, and customer service. During the day, she cleaned rooms. At night, she studied business. Years passed. Clara slowly moved up from room girl to housekeeping supervisor. Eventually, she was trusted to manage staff and oversee guest services when the owner was away. The Prairie Star Hotel became one of the most respected places for travelers passing through Wyoming. Then, in 1912, something unexpected happened. Mr. Carter decided to retire. Most people assumed he would sell the hotel to a wealthy businessman from the railroad industry. Instead, he made a surprising decision. He offered Clara the chance to buy the hotel through a long-term payment agreement. Many people in town were shocked. The girl who once scrubbed floors was now preparing to own the very hotel where she had started at the bottom. Clara accepted the challenge. Running a hotel in the early 1900s required incredible effort. Supplies had to be ordered, staff managed, and travelers welcomed from all over the country. Clara believed that the secret to a successful hotel was simple: treat every guest like they mattered. Under her leadership, the Prairie Star Hotel became known for its warmth and reliability. Travelers recommended it to others. Ranchers, businessmen, and railroad workers all preferred to stay there. Clara also introduced improvements. She modernized guest rooms, improved the dining area, and hired well-trained staff. When electric lighting began spreading across towns, she invested in upgrading the hotel. By the 1920s, the Prairie Star Hotel was one of the most popular hotels in the region. Clara Mitchell was no longer the quiet girl carrying buckets of water upstairs. She was now a respected hotel owner and businesswoman. Yet she never forgot where her journey began. In a small drawer inside her office desk, Clara kept an old brass room key from her first year working at the hotel. Whenever someone asked about her success, she sometimes held up that key and said, "This opened more than a hotel room. It opened a future." Today, millions of travelers stay in modern hotels with elevators, electric lights, and digital reservations. But more than a century ago, in a dusty railroad town in Wyoming, one determined girl proved something powerful. Sometimes, the person cleaning the rooms today may be the one who owns the hotel tomorrow.